Let's talk one more time about Aftermath. I've already done videos on how shit the product is and how terrible it all is at the time of release. We're now 2 weeks on, and there's some interesting things happening with the pricing of the product. Whilst in Europe, you can still only get the boxes for around 69 euros, in America, the price has absolutely tanked from the $120 opening value to around 60 bucks. The market price average being 63. That's for just a booster box of this shit. Meanwhile, Nissa Resurgent Animist is a $40 card. $44 and $56 for the two different variants of her. And when I started recording or writing some notes for this video that I didn't end up finalizing into a video earlier in the week, on Monday I think I looked at this, the most expensive card in the set was 40 bucks in paper. Now, Obnixilis Captive Kingpin, this version on screen right now, this one is currently market average $57. And the reason for that is not that there are some hits in the set. The reason for that is no one has opened the product. There's just hardly any of this shit in circulation. This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. If you want to use the link in the description below to pick up single product or sealed product, probably avoid Aftermath if I'm honest, but use the code KENOBI at checkout to get 5% off your order and to help support the show. Some people have been comparing Nissa to Voice of Resurgence as a historical analog. Voice of Resurgence was pretty much the only hit in Dragon's Maze outside of hitting the occasional shock land in every 8 packs. Voice of Resurgence was very expensive at its time. The exact price I didn't bother looking up, but I remember it being upwards of 40 bucks and a real big hitter. However, everything else in the set was trash. Dragon's Maze was universally not enjoyed as a draft format or an addition to Constructed or just a set to open. Dragon's Maze boosters were the worst booster to get to prize at FNM, back when I used to get to go to FNM more regularly. But Voice of Resurgence was one hit in a bad set. People were still opening Dragon's Maze. People were drafting Dragon's Maze because the boosters were draftable. Aftermath is a product which cannot be drafted, so it relies upon people just wanting to buy and open packs, which works if your set is exciting or has valuable cards in it or cool cards in it. But at the moment, Aftermath isn't exciting. There is an argument that the hit rate is very, very high for Aftermath, that you're likely to hit the expensive card like Nissa. And whilst you're likely to hit Nissa amongst a booster box, so at the point now that a booster box might just about pay for itself, the hit rate isn't as high as people think. Whilst the set is only 50 odd cards or whatever, or I think it's around 50, and some of the legendary cards in the alternate frames are worth money, as we see here on Skyfall sorting highest price to low, you've got to remember that every single card in the set has 1,000 variants. And by 1,000 I mean there's about 300 different entries in the set. So whilst the Obnixilis at the top is very expensive, if you scroll down, Obnixilis here is 13, and there might even be a cheaper one further down. But as you can see, some of these things are expensive in Halo foil, but absolute dog water in non-Halo foil, because no one wants this stuff. The set was designed to make an impact on standard and sell commander staples. It's made zero impact on standard, and really, it does have some commander cards in it. These are cards that should have been face cards in commander product. Obnixilis, Nissa, Nahiri, and Narset. They're probably the 4 big picks for me for cards that are desirable commander cards. People want to build around these or have them in their decks. They should have just been in a commander product as opposed to a small set release booster product. You've got to remember that for quite a long time now we've had the cards that are exclusive to the commander decks show up in the collector or set boosters. No. The collector boosters, I can't keep up with this shit. I think just the collector boosters of the set is attached. So if there's a rare in one of the commander precons that you really, really want, but you don't want the commander precon, there's a chance you might actually open it in a collector booster or be able to trade off someone else who has. And also that includes foils of those cards, which often used to go years before we got foils of cards in commander decks, or a standard border and foil, or any of the other a million showcase treatments. The point is, they could have had all of these cards that are evidently commander plants in the main March set just as a collector booster edition. It would have made them hard to get, but they're already hard to get because no one wants to open the packs. I still hold that Aftermath should have been commander precons or spell books per plane, showing you 15 cards on Kamigawa, 15 cards on Ravnica, whatever. Wizards, if you do want me to help you design products in future, you can reach out to me. I will help. You have to pay me though, obviously, because you make a lot of fucking money. But instead we got content, commander plants, and then only 4 of them really are showing up in commander according to EDH Rec, the ones I mentioned. But the other weird side effect of all this, something I hadn't really considered, is that Nissa Resurgent Animist is actually seeing a little bit of play in Modern as a 3 to 4 of in the Elementals 4-color or 5-color Omnath decks. And whilst Omnath isn't a top tier deck, it's probably tier 2, I would say. It still is got 6-1 in challenges and stuff, and the deck is still a deck that can kick the shit out of you if you don't have the right cards to deal with it. The deck is playing 3 to 4 copies, and on Modo, Magic the Gathering Online, it's a whole separate economy, right? You don't have access to your cards you have in paper, there's no wildcard system, so that means people have to open Aftermath boosters on the client to get hold of Nissa, so then they can have Nissa in their decks, and that means, yeah, you know where this is going, Nissa is $174.90, or 174 tickets, which is basically $1 each, for 3 Nissas. $174 for 3 Nissas. I tweeted about how fucking stupid this was back on the 23rd, 3 days ago, and they've gone up by 20 bucks. They've gone up by around like 8 bucks each. Or 7 bucks. Math is hard. The prices of these cards are going up at present, not down. And on Modo, they're never going to go down. They're going to be a desirable card that some of the bots and the vendors have because they opened a small amount of this product. And then it won't go down until they add Nissa to the treasure chest system, which is chests are small mini boosters that you get as part of your prizes for winning or going positive in events. And you open those and you get cards, and usually they'll insert things into there to try and bring their price down on Modo. The treasure chest system has worked quite successfully to bring prices down in the past. Case in point, Rishon Port was once a $200 card on Modo, and is now nowhere more than 10 or 15. It's dumb. The whole thing is fucking dumb. I never really even thought about the fact that these tiny boosters that no one wants to open that doesn't affect standard enough and isn't draftable would affect one of the 3 economies that Magic has on the go at the moment with Modo. I know Modo is like this old shitty program that no one really wants to get invested in unless they really want to get their reps in for like Pioneer, Legacy or Modern. But it is sad that it's neglected so much. It really is. The old formats of Magic matter. They are really fun and they matter. And to go back to that point I made a little bit earlier, with Voice of Resurgence, it was an immediate 4 of in multiple standard decks when it got released, when Nissa just isn't. So this isn't a demand issue. Well, it is a demand for Nissa, but the demand is not as high as when paper standard was huge and this is a 4 of. This is a small amount of demand for a stock level that just doesn't exist. People aren't opening this product. This product is radioactive for like a multitude of reasons that, like I said, I'm not going to go into today. People don't want to open this shit, and thus the 1 or 2 chase fares from it are worth silly fucking money. It's a really weird, vicious cycle. And again, let's not understand that Dragon's Maze was a flop as well. People did not want to open this. This was not the boost you wanted as a prize, but it was still part of the limited format. You still drafted 1/1/1 of Return to Ravnica. What the fuck was the other one called? Guild, Gatecrash, and this. People were drafting it. Aftermath is not draftable. It's not even a valid play piece, and thus, what's the fucking point? So where do we go from here with Aftermath? The continuing train wreck, the continuing garbage fire of Aftermath. Well, we're going to get to a point where the booster packs are so cheap, if they go below 50 bucks, that it's worth opening them just to try and hit Nissa, the Nissa lottery. But what you've got to remember is that Nissa isn't seeing enough play for it to hold the price tag it's got. This isn't Sheoldred. Nissa is a 3 to 4 of in a tier 2 modern deck, and it's a commander. I don't want to say staple, but it's a strong commander playable. This is not a great henge. This means as packs get opened, the price of it crashes as more get into the market, and we've got a bubble, essentially. Aftermath is a hot garbage fire of a mess for a multitude of reasons that I've covered in a previous video that I won't reiterate here. But this, seeing like basically chase cards come out of it, but no one wanted to open it because ultimately the hit rate isn't as good as people are saying, it's both funny and tragic. The real fucking tragedy in all of this is that this is stock that game stores are left holding, that they have bought from distributors on the, the idea that Wizards don't do this, that they don't make product that the players don't want, that they won't ruin player relations with fucking hiring private detectives to harass a YouTuber who leaked it early, that the product might be playable in a draft environment, that there might be more than 1 or 2 cards that you wanted, that it might not feel like a lackluster story conclusion to a story that ended out of nowhere. Like, this is not good for game stores. As the price crashes, they are stuck trying to liquidate the stock and get off their fucking shelves, at least at not a loss. And not a loss is not a profit. That is not making the store money in a way that will keep them alive. This kind of stuff will bury stores if Wizards continue to do these kind of fucking mistakes. It actually matters to the people that keep our communities alive by giving us spaces to both buy, consume, and play the fucking game in. And please note, what I'm showing you on screen right now is a sponsored post within Amazon. So this is being paid to be promoted because they want to shift this shit from whatever distributor or supplier is providing Amazon with it. The price has crashed, as another point, from 218 down to 160 bucks for Aftermath collector boosters. And the most exciting and interesting part of all of this is that it's got a 1-star rating. People have reviewed this and gave it a 1 star. I've never seen fucking Magic product get a shit review on Amazon before. This is really, it's again funny, but fucking tragic. I hope they come back to the idea of story expansions like this, but perhaps not force it to be an update to standard. Perhaps not big cut content, perhaps not be the same price as a normal booster for less cards. Perhaps even don't make it a fucking gamble on a Nissa. Perhaps make it a pre-constructed deck. And while you're at it, give us a code to get it on Modo and Arena while you're at it. That'll be a much better way to do Magic than we're currently doing. Anyway, that was just a quick little video about the rising price of Nissa Resurgent Animist. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.